Hi, I'm Bethany Dawson and welcome to My Classic Soul, the podcast dedicated to the best in soul and R&B music throughout the decades. In our latest episode, soulmusic.com founder David Nathan catches up with the legendary Candi Staton, a recent 2020 inductee into the Soul Music Hall of Fame in two categories, Lifetime Achievement and Female Artist. Today, they talk about her amazing 6 decades in music, the story behind her timeless classic Young Hearts Run Free, and being successful in both the popular music and gospel genres. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, it is my esteemed privilege, honor, joy, pleasure to welcome to My Classic Soul a real pioneer and legend in contemporary music. And this is a lady that I've had the opportunity to interview, talk with, get to know over, I checked, 1977 is the first time we did an interview. So that's 1977 to 2020. My math's not that good. Let's see, is that 43 years?
Sounds like a lot. That sounds like forever.
It does. So
it just doesn't seem like we've been knowing each other for 40-something years.
Truly. So welcome to My Classic Soul, Candi Staton.
Thank you, David.
It's really great to see you today.
It's good to see you as well.
And, you know, in particular, of course, this is coming on the heels of you having been inducted into the Soul Music Hall of Fame by popular vote online and at soulmusic.com, which is really great. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. But what I really wanted to first talk about, Candi, is the fact that you have 5 decades.
Yes.
Actually, more than 5 decades of performing and recording, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's really phenomenal. And not just in one genre, but literally, you know, I'm trying to think, is there a genre that you have not yet sung in? I mean, I know gospel, of course, you know, what people call Southern soul, R&B, rhythm and blues, and then of course, dance music, contemporary Christian music. I mean, you literally, I mean, some things that you've done, I think, have even been nominated, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong, for Americana Awards, an Americana category, I think, at the Grammys. So you've done
Grammy Awards. I've been inducted into the Alabama Hall of Fame, and the Christian Music Hall of Fame, and that was the R&B Hall of Fame. So it's just with gospel music as well. Gospel, another lifetime achievement they gave me with the gospel music. So, I mean, I don't, you know, just sit and think about those things. It's so strange. I just, when one of these happen, I just thank God and keep moving forward. And I am so blessed and to receive this prestigious award that you all have given me, and especially the fans that voted for me to be in this Soul Music Hall of Fame. It's great. I couldn't believe it. I was looking on my phone and I saw it. Bill hadn't gotten back to me. And I said, what is this? And I said, oh my God, why didn't y'all tell me? But I found it on my Instagram. I think it was the Instagram. And it was just, I was thrilled. I was just really thrilled.
Very well deserved. And again, so there are all those genres of music I just mentioned. So I'm just curious, is there a genre of music that you have not yet sung in?
Well, I tried in jazz. You know, I could never seem to get the jazz feel, but I did do some things in jazz. I think it was a gospel. I did something in jazz. What's his name? Whalum.
Eric Whalum.
Yeah, it was in Love Is You. I think it's Love Is You. Mm-hmm. We got on some of the jazz stations. Okay. That one, Love Is You, is off of one of my Love Is You is on Unstoppable.
Oh, okay. Which is
it's Unstoppable.
Your 2018.
Quaylen was I called him up and asked him would he be on it with me, and he said he would be delighted. I owe him one, so I might be some more jazz before it's over, because I promised him. I said, "You be on this one. You call me. I'll be on one of yours."
That's great. So I want to do that for him. I want to go back a little bit in time, and I want to ask you, of course, those who've really studied your career know that you started out, singing in church, and you started out performing on the road at a very young age, and on the gospel circuit of the time, with people like Mahalia Jackson and Reverend C.L. Franklin and so on. I'm just going to ask you if you can. I know that's a ways back to go back to remembering, but do you recall if even back then you had any thoughts that you would have a career in music?
I didn't think it would be this much. I thought once I left the Jewel Gospel Trio, my music, my part in the music industry would be over. I was about 17 when I left. I was there. I was 11 or 12 when I started with the Jewel Trio. We made 8 records, which is online now. You can probably go up and find it, the Jewel Gospel Trio. And David, it was so amazing because we were the only group out there with a band.
Wow.
We were the only gospel group, because back in the day, back in the late 40s and the early 50s, nobody in the gospel industry had a band. Right. They might have had a guitar. The quartet singers might have had a guitar, and some of like Mahalia Jackson, she had a keyboard player. But that was about it. Because at that time, their thinking was so warped in terms of music. They didn't want, they said that's the devil's music. And we don't want all that, all that going on in the churches and all that stuff. They didn't like it. But we couldn't go to churches. Fortunately, we were very fortunate to get with a bishop who had 30 churches around the country. And so we would go to those churches. They would come in and watch us there, because they had the music when we got there. I had never seen anything like it. And then to make it even more exciting, they had a dance floor. Just like the dance floor you see in disco. Yeah. It would be filled, and they would be playing gospel. We were way before our time.
That's so pioneers. That's real pioneers.
Yes, we were. And when I got to that church, I think I was 11 years old, and I saw the gospel steel guitar. I saw the rhythm guitar. I saw the drums and the keyboards. I'm like, this is amazing. And they called us up, to sing. My sister and I, Maggie, they called us up to sing, and the band just kind of caught on to what we were singing, because we were singing old hymns. So they knew those. And I mean, the dance floor was filled. Like, I never want to leave this church.
This is interesting, Candi. What's so interesting about it in particular, I'm laughing so much because obviously you were, one of the pioneers in the dance music field of gospel. And then, of course, we go back, on to the future, to the 70s, and you're a massive success with Young Hearts Run Free and on Broadway, and all the things that happen later on. So it sounds like dancing and rhythm have been a part of your career, really from way, way back. So you're used to having people dance to music, right?
That's why I love disco. They can name it whatever they want to. House music. They put it in so many genres. Right. But it's still disco to me. It will never stop, because it's the beat. It's the beat. And I love the fast beat where you can move and just have a great time. By the time you finish the show, I mean, everybody is like up there. We're all excited, and energy level is high. So I've always been that way. I always love it. Of course, I love ballads too. I love ballads. And there are times when you need a ballad.
And I want to talk to you about that too. So here to set the stage again. So you started out, you know, you'd have the kind of career you have had, but as people who are like real R&B folks know, you know, our first introduction to you was, of course, as an R&B, as we said, rhythm and blues singer back in the late 60s and beginning of the 70s with the recordings you made at Fame Records. And you know, many people think of you, I think I would be correct if I said that you're often referred to as a Southern soul stylist or a Southern soul singer. Not so much just because you obviously are from the South, but more because of the kind of records they were. You know, obviously you recorded in Muscle Shoals and you know, the whole flavor that made those records so much the part of rhythm and blues of that time. So you morphed into this singer who was known a lot for ballads. I mean, some of those, they weren't all ballads, but I'm thinking about, we could say mid-tempo ballads, like Stand By Your Man, your remake of that, and In the Ghetto, Presley song. So how was that transition from gospel to R&B for you? What was it like?
Ooh, Lord, you don't have 2 hours.
No, that's true.
I could tell you some stories, but it was very painful, actually. When you're, it's such a I don't know what you would call it, David, but once you get into gospel, they don't think you should ever move out of it. They don't look at it like I call it life music. Al Green and I was talking one day when we were on tour together, and he asked me a question. He said, Candi, what's wrong with I'm so tired of being alone? I said, absolutely nothing. I said, I'm tired of being alone too. Everybody gets tired of being alone. I said, that's live music. He said, well, why did they really talk about me so badly when I did these songs? I said, that's just the way that they are. That's the mentality. They think when you can't sing anything other than something that has Jesus or God or heavenly or the angels singing or something in it like that. Anything else is. And the blues, don't we all have that sometimes? Look at the COVID-19. How many people right now can sing the blues? I mean, this is real. And you get that feeling sometimes. And what you're doing, you're really singing, preaching. You're singing, preach. You're singing motivational speaker. You're singing things that we go through every day. Things that you divorce, you get married, you fight, you have disagreements. All of that could be in a song. I was just saying, matter of fact, Johnny Brick told me to tell you hello.
Okay.
I was on with him yesterday, and we were talking about that, and we were saying, it's just amazing how people put you in a box and zip you up, and you can't get out. And so I just decided that, you know what, I'm going to do me. And when I decided to do me, talk about me. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm going to do me. And I began to write for myself. I began to sing to myself. I began to, things that I couldn't talk about to you, I could put it in music. And I was thinking about David Crawford. When I met David Crawford, I'd known David for many years because he had played keyboards for the Caravans, which was a gospel group back in the 50s. And we would always get to the keyboards and we would sing together. And when he came to Warner Brothers, and Rick let me go to Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers, I signed a contract with Warner Brothers. We had one record on Warner Brothers. Rick Hall and I. And they were the distributor for Fame. And they told Rick, they said, if this record doesn't go, can we sign her personally? And Rick said, yeah, and that was on contract. So I think they did it on purpose, David. The record didn't do for 30,000, and there I was signed to Warner Brothers. And I came in the studio. They called me up. They said, "We think we have found you a producer." I said, "Who is it?" He said, "David Crawford." I said, "I know him." And he said, "Yeah, well, can you come to Burbank?" I had a hotel in LA, so they sent me a car. I came up to Burbank, and I met David, and we got to talking, and he was so excited. He's like, "I have so many songs I've written, and I know you can tear them up." I said, "Let's do it, David." And so they put us together, and every day, David, we would go in and to lunch. He was, "Come on, let's go get some lunch." We'd go to lunch, and I was involved at that time with this horrible guy. Okay. And I was trying to get away from him, and he was threatening me. He was threatening my life. He was talking about killing my children and kidnapping them if I left him. He was threatening me, terrorizing me. And I would tell David, I said, "David, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Do you have any idea of kind of what I can do?" He says, "Well, divorce him." I said, he said he would kill me if I did. So anyway, I got it in a book. And make a long story short, he was writing those things down. I noticed he was writing. When we were having lunch, he'd be writing. And when I walked in the studio, I went out there first time to get the album together. And he had put another song in. And the music was so beautiful. I walked in the studio and dun, 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 dun. I said, "David, what in the world is that?" He said, "Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it." And I went into that studio, and he said, "I tell you what, why don't you take a break, go to lunch? I haven't written the second verse yet. By the time you get back, the second verse will be written, and we'll be ready to put it down." I said, "Okay." So I went and had lunch and came back in. So he gave me the song. He went into the vocal booth with me. He sung it down for me like it was supposed to be sung. And I was looking at the lyrics. And then he said, "You want to try it?" I said, "Oh, I'd love to try it." And when I started singing it, I sung it perfect.
Wow.
One take. Because I sung my life.
Yes.
Right there in front of me was my life. And that's where the feeling came from. That's where the real came from, those lyrics. What's the sense in sharing this one and only life, ending up just another lost and lonely life? You'll count up the years, and they'll be filled with tears. Love only breaks up to start over again. You'll get the babies, but you won't have your man, while he's busy loving every woman that he can. You say you're going to leave 100 times a day. It's easier said than done, and you just can't break away. Young hearts run free, never be hung, like my man and me. And I was just floored, because as I read the lyrics, I was almost in tears.
Well, yeah.
Wow, that's my life I'm talking about. Oh my God. And that's why he said, "You can come in now." I came up there, he played it back. I said, "Oh, want me to do it again?" He said, "I wouldn't touch that." He said, "I wouldn't touch that." He said, "You'll never do it like you just did it."
So that is a first take.
Yeah, first take.
Wow. I know we've spoken many times before, and possibly you have told me parts of that story, but I don't know if you've ever told it to me exactly that way.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. So really, I guess what you're saying, I'm going to say something about what you just said. In other words, the music that you were singing as a child, gospel music, which is about your truth. And then as a R&B soul, Southern soul singer, so to speak, you were singing about your life, and even if you didn't always write the songs, but these things that you related to. Yes. And here comes this particular recording, which is directly a reflection of your life at the time. Yes. And who knew that it would go on to become this classic, this anthem, this timeless. I mean, generations of
right. It's
have
just
dancing to that, singing to it.
Yes.
And again, it's based on real life. So I guess I was going to say that maybe we should just call you a real life singer.
When I can feel it the most is when I've gone through it. Yeah. When you know you've gone through the pain of a song, you know, I see your clothes are packed, baby, and she's waiting for you on the outside. Those kind of songs that I sing, I've experienced.
Yes.
And that's why I can put so much of myself in it. Soul music is not like it used to be. No. We used to sing our soul, which is our mind and will and emotion. People do nothing now except ad-lib over and over and over. And ad-lib, I love country music for that. I love country music because they tell stories. And you sing stories in country music. And that's why I love it. I love it. I grew up with country music. I grew up with country music, gospel music. And I tell you, and you can put them both together. Ray Charles and I were having a conversation when we were at the Latin Theater. And I used to go down in his room, his dressing room, every day, you know, when just before the show would start. And we would have amaretto and coffee. He would say, "See you again tomorrow. We have our favorite drink." That's what he drank just before he went on stage. He would have his amaretto and coffee. And it really was good. But I was a little tipsy and he was a little tipsy too. So we would sit there and we would talk and he would talk. And he told me something, David, that just blessed me so much. And I'll never forget it. He said, "You know you're a female, Ray Charles."
Wow.
That's what he said. He said, "I guess you know your style is a female, Ray Charles." He said, "Because you got a little gospel, you got a little rhythm and blues, and you got a little country." And he said, "That's what makes us different."
You know, it's so amazing, like hearing you recount again, as we go through your history, so to speak, because it does touch upon so many aspects of music. But the thing I want to ask you specifically, because of course, when I'm looking at the first interview we did in 1977. Now, other people, yes, the headline. Let me see if I can square it.
Oh my goodness, you still have it.
The story is, I'm not very good with these camera things, but it's Candi, sweet as ever, but I can run producers up the wall.
Let's pause there for a quick break. Then we'll return to David Nathan and Candi Staton as they reflect on the year since David's first interview with Candi back in 1977.
Out now on Soul Music Records in association with Platinum Garage Recordings, Preston Glass presents Love and Compassion, Volume 3, the third volume of the successful Preston Glass Presents Love and Compassion digital album series, continuing the positive messages of the previous two volumes. It includes guest artists Larry Graham, Chubby Tavares, Debbie Sledge, Robin S., and The Temptations' Ron Tyson. Preston Glass Presents Love and Compassion, Volume 3 is out now on all digital platforms.
All you teach is time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. 'Cause they're the ones
The thing I was going to say is, of course, at that time, this is just in the wake of Young Hearts Run Free, and they just done the album with Bob Monaco, who also produced Rufus and Chaka Khan, and that was the album which I always get this. I don't know why some reason I get this title wrong, but I'm going to get it right this time. Okay, it is Music Speaks Louder Than Words.
Oh yes,
yes.
Monaco.
Yes.
What was his first name?
Bob. Bob.
Yeah, Bob Monaco. I'm gonna tell you how that album happened to be. I was supposed to do a second album with David, and he backed out. He would not do another album with me. He said, you know what, and I hate to talk about, he's deceased, so
I know, yeah.
I'd hate to talk about that, but he was jealous of the success. He said he should have sung the song. And I'm thinking, how could you have sung a song like that, though, David? How could you take those lyrics? You're not a woman.
True.
But he would not do the second album. Warner Brothers tried to get him to do it. He wouldn't do it. Had we done Victim right behind this song, Young Hearts Run Free, we would have gone up levels in terms of the music industry. But he backed out. He wouldn't do it. And he went and did his own album. Instead of doing one on me, he did his own album. And Bob Monaco was around, and he was Shaka Khan's, producer. Yeah. And that's how we got Listen to the Music. Yeah. And
Nights on Broadway.
The Nights on Broadway. All those kind of songs, which took us all the way in another genre of music. And once I've learned that in my many years of being in the music industry, you got to keep the flow going.
Yeah.
If you're in a flow, you got to keep it going that way. Yeah. You can't just all of a sudden turn around and do something else. You grab a whole different audience. And so I learned that, but I had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah. Now, when people started referring to you as a, quote, disco or dance music artist, some people didn't know about your career prior to that. And they almost thought that you were like a new artist, so to speak. How did you feel about, suddenly being one of the, the main, for that time period, certainly from late 70s to early 80s, being like considered one of the most popular, successful dance music artists? How did you feel about that?
Oh my goodness, they thought I was a one-hit wonder. When they remember Stand By Your Man, but that's all they remembered was Young Heart Run Free, and so they thought I was a one-hit wonder until the compilation came out. That showed a lot of the other R&B music that we did long before 8 years of it with Rick Hall. They had no idea that I even had that kind of catalog. And so once they found out, this is when the audience began to grow in London and around the world. When the record came out, the classic, with all the old rhythm and blues songs on it, they could not get enough of it. They did not know I could do that. But I did that long before Young Hearts Run Free.
Right. It
was amazing. Let me tell you something funny. Yeah. Rick Hall was, Rick had a yacht. And so he would sing me so hard because, all of the people that were singers then, they always had this gruff voice, Wilson Pickett and they would get into that raw. And he would sing me until my voice got raw. If you listen to I'm Just a Prisoner, you'll hear some of that. But I've always had a clear voice. Sam Cooke and I used to talk about our voices in terms of gospel music. Because in gospel music, you had that gruff voice as well. Sam was a cool singer. I was a cool singer, straight, wonderful, just sing it like it, just sing that song without the gruffiness and all of that stuff. And we could get a song over and the audience would be floored. And we didn't have to do that hard type of singing.
Yes.
But Rick was on his yacht. And he was on a Saturday. He told me this, and it was so funny. He said, I was sitting there, just sitting back, having a drink, and we were on the middle of the water, and I was just relaxing. And he said, Candi, we had the radio on, and this song came on. What's the sense in sharing this one and only life? And Rick said, whoever that is, sure got a hit.
So he
told me, he said, and they said that brand new record for Candi Staton, he fell out of his chair. He said the chair fell over. He said, how did I miss that?
So, I get it. That really is funny. That is. It
is. I laughed. We both. I said, see, I told you didn't have to. I didn't have to sing a song 13, 14 times. I told you that, and you didn't listen to me. I said, you could have had music like that all along.
What the other? That's a great. By the way, that's a great story. That's a great story.
It's true.
Now, one of the other song that I think a whole generation discovered you was a song that came out in the I think, if I'm correct, like the late '80s or mid '80s. You Got the Love.
Yes.
Which, of course, then became even more known to a whole nother audience, thanks to Florence and the Machine.
Yes.
So you keep kind of having these different lifetimes, so to speak, within you. So when you found out, tell me, how did you, when you first heard the Florence and the Machine version of You Got the Love, what was your reaction to it?
Well, I loved it. To be honest with you, see, we own half the publishing on that song. So I was making money. So I didn't care who put it out. You know, as many people want to put it out as long as I get paid, I don't care, because I've done my version.
Yeah.
You know, and it was great. And everybody else, oh gosh, I can't even count the people that have covered that song. That song is like a national anthem. And it's so real now, David, when you think about it right now. When I was going through breast cancer, I had breast cancer.
Yes, I do.
And I'm clear. I just had my last scan about 3 months ago, and I'm still cancer-free. But when I was going through breast cancer, and I know now why people love it, because when you're going through problems, you're going through things, and everybody goes through these things. Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up in the air. I know I can count on you. Sometimes I feel like saying, Lord, I just don't care. But you got the love I need to see me through. I was walking the hallways of the cancer treatment centers in Noonan, Georgia. And I would be doing this, singing my song, walking down the hallway. Sometimes I feel like I'm in my hands. And I was going through the worst problems, the worst time I could have ever dreamed of. I was so down and so burdened. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know how chemotherapy was going to react to my body. I didn't know how radiation was going to act. I was just in this place, and I just didn't know, am I going to live? Is this going to take me out? People get there. We got millions of people now that could sing that song during COVID-19. We all feel like we feel like doing this, throwing our hands in the air. And I know I can count on you, God. You got the love I need to see me through this. Mm-hmm. And he does. Mm-hmm. He's going to see us all through it.
Wow.
We're going to come out on the bright side.
So, here's the other thing I wanted to ask you, Candi. So, as you've talked about your different phases of your career, doing different genres of music, and at some point, I know you created your own record label, and you started recording albums in the contemporary gospel. Or do you call it contemporary gospel, or do you call it contemporary Christian? What's the genre you call it? You just call it gospel. Okay,
I just made me a name. I call it gospel.
Gospel. Okay, I love it. Gospel.
My fast songs is in the disco beat, so I just called it gospel.
Gospel. I love it. So, and how did people, when you started making albums again in the gospel tradition, so to speak? Yeah. How did people react to that? How did the gospel audience react for you coming out of all the things that you've been doing in contemporary music, dance music, R&B? How did they respond to you going into now, I won't say back to, but, making records again.
Yeah,
and
trying to get back into. I didn't do it for them. I did it for me.
Okay.
I did it for me. And if they received me, fine. And they didn't. They didn't receive me well. They looked at me, like I was from another planet. When I walk in the midst of those gospel, they would have all these conferences and stuff. Some people would, the thing that turned it around, let me just tell you what turned it all around. I went to a church one time in Memphis, and I had out my first gospel record. And the church was packed, completely packed. Around the wall, people were standing. They came because they were curious. And this was one of those religious churches. And they came more to judge than they did to enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I sung one of my songs. It was called Sin Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That was my first song I wrote after I came back to gospel music. I did it because of my soul, my heart, what I wanted to do for God. I just wanted to sing those songs for him. It wasn't about them. It was about me and him. And do you not know, I started telling him about how my life had turned around, and I was an alcoholic for all those years, and I was into drugs and all those bad things that I had done, but God delivered me. I'm straight now, and I'm focused, and I'm going forward. And do you not know every last person in that church walked out? The church emptied. He left me there with three wonderful sweethearts, 3 homosexual guys that I love them today because they are so faithful. And they left me there and they were the ones that never left. They just sit there and enjoyed it. You better sing, girl. And I sung to them.
Wow.
And I got home. When I got home, David, I was so hurt. I said, this is just, because you learn early, you don't lose an audience. That's what you learn in the music industry. You doing pretty bad when an audience can walk out on you. You ain't there. You better check yourself. So I sat there and I began to pray. And I said, God, I'm going back to my music where people appreciate me. He says, no, you're not. No, you're not. He said, I'm going to send you somewhere. He said, just be patient. That's when I was invited to do my television shows. I was doing gospel television shows for 25 years. I did a sabbatical. And they came to me to be on my show. So that's how I was able to kind of weave myself back into the gospel industry. They were coming to me. Can we come and be on your show? We got 3 little, I had so many people coming, and I had guests. Every week I had guests. And I would do 17 shows in 1 week. I would do like 4 shows a day. And I had all kinds of people coming. I was all over the world. People saw me all around the world, millions of folk. And the Lord he's just like, they walked out on you, but I put you on the main stage.
All right. Well, as you said, you could talk for 2 hours, so we go to our podcast.
Yes.
I'm going to wind this down with a couple of questions. I know you had a recent release called Many Moods of Love.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I wrote that song years and years ago. It's about 10 years old.
Really?
Never put it out. But I was just thinking about all the moods of love, the things that you go through with love, different types of love, baby love, children. You love them in a way that you wouldn't love your boyfriend, or then that kind of love, and then the love of God, and all types of just many moods. There are so many moods of love, and we all experience them. Every last one of us experience the moods of love, and I love that song. And we finally put it out, and it's a beautiful song to me.
Yes. All right, and then to kind of come towards the completion of our interview.
Yes.
I don't know how many interviews we've done over the years, but we've done quite a lot. We haven't done too many on video, so this is special.
No, we haven't. We have lots of radio.
We have. True. Yes. So I wanted to ask you, obviously you've made reference to what's happening in the world with the pandemic and how it's affected the world. In terms of your own, I know you're very active as a performer, and you have been active as a performer for as long as I've known you, for sure.
Yes.
How is this impacting your everyday life in terms of, being able to get out there and perform? Is it challenging for you?
I guess it would have been had I not been at home a lot when I was going through cancer.
Oh, okay.
I was at home about 18 months, couldn't go anywhere. So my immune system was so low, so I had to wear a mask sometimes because they wanted to keep my immune system up so I could kill this cancer. And so I stayed home a lot. And the moment that, I was ready to go, they had me on the Glastonbury Festival for 2020. Yeah. They had me on the Love Festival on 20.
That's a lot of time.
About 6 or 7 things for me to do in London. Yeah. And I couldn't do it. We had to cancel everything. And so I was kind of used to being at home. And I guess you could call me a little lazy. I got lazy. I got to be a television. I got to be a television freak, and I'd watch movie after movie, and I'd, walk, and I got my little, elliptical I'd walk on every day, just walk to try to get myself up, and I go around my kids, we go around the grandchildren and my daughters and my sons and their kids and their kids. Yes. So I'm just blessed. I got a chance to really, out of all these years, I had never had a chance to really be close to my children because I was always working on the road. I would leave them in the hands of strangers, that would take care of them and cook, and motherly type people. I would be on the road doing tours. And now I can sit around them all day long. I didn't know how much fun they were.
That's great.
Yeah, now I'm really, I can feel, we're all so close. We're just family now, and I'm not going anywhere, and they know where I am at all times, and they come over and we cook together, and I come over to their house, and we stay all night over the different ones' houses, and it's just been one of those type things. I don't put myself at risk, going into different places. I might go into a few restaurants if they're really good restaurants. But I always take my alcohol with me in my purse and clean the tables. Okay. And the chairs and all that stuff. I'm real careful because I have an underlying condition. So I have to be aware of that. So you got to be smart. Yeah, and I know home is about the most safest place I can be.
That's true. Well, Candi, it's just such a great joy to talk to you. I have to say, many people I've interviewed over the many decades, and I say, every single time we have a conversation, I leave the conversation feeling good, feeling uplifted, feeling like I've had a conversation with a real person. There's no, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, David. So, I'm just an old-fashioned country girl.
Well, just again, thank you so much for your time today. And also, let's just hold up the Soul Music Hall of Fame. You want to hold up the thing you have there? Wow. Well, I just have to say, Candi, that is not only, of course, if you hold
I can pick around it.
not only just in one category, but in two categories.
Yes.
Yes, lifetime achievement and female artist. Yay.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you, David.
Well, thank me. You can thank me, but
thank
really,
the fans that did it.
The people.
Yes. And I love you guys so much.
Well, thank you, Candi, for being as sweet as this. Somewhere, it says somewhere in my little writing thing, interview from 1977, as sweet as ever.
Oh, gosh, thank you. You always been so sweet to me, and I thank you for it all. Even in the magazine when it was out, you used to do such great stories. Thank you, David. You've been my friend for so long, and I love you so much. You too,
Candi. All right, then.
Okay.
See you soon.
Okay, you have a blessed day, and you stay safe.
You too.
Thanks, David and Candi. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform, and visit us for breaking news and daily updates about your favourite soul and R&B artists over at soulmusic.com. I'm Bethany Dawson. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on My Classic Soul.